The wooden bucket slipped from Clara Bennett's trembling hands, spilling water across the dusty road just as a tall black horse stopped beside her. She quickly bent to gather the bucket, expecting another cruel joke from another stranger. Instead, the rider climbed down without saying a word, picked up the bucket himself, and handed it back with quiet respect. Clara looked into the face of Samuel Walker, the wealthiest rancher in Cedar Ridge. His calm blue eyes held no pity and no judgment, only kindness. For a brief moment, neither of them spoke. Then Samuel tipped his hat, wished her a peaceful day, and rode away. Clara stood frozen, wondering why the richest man in the valley had treated her like she truly mattered. Welcome to Nordic Love Stories. If you love emotional Wild West stories filled with kindness, hope, romance, and second chances, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. The little town of Cedar Ridge woke before sunrise every morning. Ranchers prepared their horses, shopkeepers opened wooden doors, and wagons rolled across the dusty streets. Among them walked Clara, carrying an old basket filled with handmade soap, fresh herbs, and small pieces of embroidery she hoped to sell before sunset. At only 23 years old, life had already tested her, more than most people twice her age. Her father had died in a mining accident years earlier, and after spending every penny caring for her sick mother, Clara had been left with nothing except a tiny abandoned cabin near the river. Every morning she walked nearly 7 miles into town searching for honest work. Some days she washed laundry until her hands bled. Other days she cleaned barns or baked bread for families who could spare only a few coins. She accepted every task with gratitude because giving up had never been an option. Many people saw her worn clothes and quietly judged her without ever knowing her story. Children often waved as she passed because she always smiled back, but many adults simply looked away. Clara never argued, never complained, and never asked anyone to rescue her. She believed dignity was something poverty could never steal. On the western edge of town stood Walker Ranch, the largest and most successful cattle ranch in the county. Its owner, Samuel Walker, had everything money could buy except happiness. Years before, a harsh winter fever had taken his wife and little daughter within the same month. Since then, the grand ranch house echoed with silence. Samuel spent his days working from sunrise until dark, because staying busy hurt less than remembering. Yet every morning he noticed the same young woman walking beside his fences with quiet determination. He watched her help an elderly man lift heavy sacks onto his wagon without asking for payment. He saw her give her lunch to a hungry little boy whose father couldn't afford food that day. He even noticed that despite her own struggles, she always stopped to comfort frightened animals or greet lonely neighbors with genuine warmth. The more Samuel observed, the more one question stayed in his mind. How could someone carrying so much pain still choose kindness every single day? He never approached her because he respected her independence, but something about Clara's quiet strength reminded him that goodness still existed in a world filled with loss. As another long day came to an end, neither Samuel nor Clara realized that fate was slowly bringing 2 lonely hearts toward a moment that would change both of their lives forever. The next evening, Samuel saw Clara standing outside the old general store with her basket still full. The shopkeeper shook his head and closed the door, leaving her with nothing to sell. She thanked him politely, forced a small smile, and quietly turned toward the lonely road home. Samuel watched from across the street. Instead of riding away, he walked over and asked, "Have you eaten today?" Clara hesitated before answering with an honest smile. "I'll be fine." Samuel knew that answer meant no. Without another word, he led her to the small cafe beside the blacksmith shop and ordered 2 simple meals. Clara looked embarrassed, but Samuel spoke gently. "See, this isn't charity. I'd simply rather eat with someone than sit alone." For the first time in many months, Clara shared a meal with another person. Their conversation was quiet but sincere. Samuel learned that Clara had once dreamed of becoming a school teacher before life forced her to care for her sick mother. Clara discovered that behind the wealthy rancher's calm face was a man who still carried deep sorrow. Neither spoke much about their pain, yet somehow they understood each other without many words. Before they left, Samuel offered her a position at Walker Ranch. "I don't need another servant," he explained. "I need someone honest who cares about people as much as you do." Clara accepted with grateful eyes, promising she would work harder than anyone else. The following morning she arrived before sunrise. She cleaned the ranch house, organized supplies, helped prepare breakfast for the ranch hands, cared for injured horses, and planted fresh vegetables in the neglected garden. She worked until the stars appeared, without asking for extra pay or special treatment. Within days, the ranch felt different. The workers laughed more often. The cook smiled again. Even the oldest horse on the ranch, known for refusing everyone, calmly allowed Clara to brush its mane. Samuel quietly watched these small changes. He realized the ranch no longer felt cold and empty. One afternoon, a frightened calf became trapped in a muddy creek after heavy rain. Several ranch hands struggled to rescue it, but the frightened animal refused to move. Clara slowly approached, speaking softly until the calf relaxed. She wrapped a rope around its body, and together everyone safely pulled it onto dry ground. The ranch hands cheered, while Samuel smiled with quiet pride. That evening they sat together on the porch as the orange sunset stretched across the endless prairie. Samuel finally asked the question that had stayed in his heart for months. "How do you keep choosing kindness after everything you've lost?" Clara looked toward the fading sunlight before answering. "My mother used to tell me that pain can make a heart bitter or gentle. She prayed mine would always stay gentle." Samuel lowered his eyes, deeply moved by her words. For the first time since losing his family, hope quietly entered his heart. As darkness settled over Walker Ranch, neither of them noticed several townspeople watching from a distance. Rumors had already begun to spread. Some believed Clara only wanted the rich, ranchers' fortune. Others whispered that Samuel had lost his good judgment, but neither gossip nor suspicion could erase the growing respect between two lonely souls who had found comfort in simple kindness. They had no idea that the greatest test of their friendship was still waiting just ahead. 3 days later, the rumors reached every corner of Cedar Ridge. Some claimed Clara had tricked the richest rancher in the county. Others laughed, saying a poor young woman could never belong at Walker Ranch. Clara heard every whispered word as she walked through town, but she refused to answer a single insult. She simply finished her work, greeted everyone with the same gentle smile, and returned to the ranch before sunset. Samuel watched her quiet strength and admired her even more. He knew the truth would always be stronger than gossip. A week later, a powerful storm swept across the valley. Fierce winds damaged fences, frightened the cattle, and flooded several homes near the river. Without waiting for instructions, Clara gathered blankets, food, and medicine from the ranch and rushed to help the struggling families. She spent the entire day comforting frightened children, preparing warm meals for the elderly, and caring for injured animals. Samuel and his ranch hands worked beside her until the storm finally passed. The people of Cedar Ridge witnessed everything with their own eyes. The woman they had judged so unfairly was the first person willing to help everyone else. Their shame was impossible to hide. On the following Sunday, the town gathered at Walker Ranch to thank everyone who had helped during the disaster. Long tables were covered with homemade food, children played across the green fields, and laughter filled the air once again. As the celebration reached its happiest moment, Samuel slowly stepped forward and raised his hand for silence. Every conversation stopped. Looking at the crowd, he spoke with calm confidence. For months, many people believed Clara was poor because she had nothing. They were wrong. She possesses something far greater than money. She has a heart filled with courage, compassion, and kindness. He then turned toward Clara, whose eyes were already shining with tears. When I first saw her, I thought she needed someone to save her. I was mistaken. She reminded me how to live again. Samuel smiled warmly before continuing. Today, I want everyone to know that Clara is no longer simply someone who works on this ranch. From this day forward, she is part of my family, and this will always be her home. The entire crowd fell silent before loud applause echoed across the valley. Many people who had once ignored Clara walked forward to apologize for judging her without knowing the truth. Clara could barely speak through her tears. I spent so long believing I would always be alone, she whispered. You gave me more than a place to live. You gave me people to love. Samuel gently placed a comforting hand on her shoulder as the ranch workers gathered around them like one united family. As the golden sun disappeared beyond the western hills, the lonely ranch that had once been filled with silence became a home filled with laughter, friendship, and hope. From that day on, no one remembered Clara as the poor girl who walked the dusty road. They remembered her as the woman whose kindness changed an entire town and healed a broken heart. Samuel often said that cattle, land, and money could make a man wealthy, but only love could make him truly rich. And every evening, as the lights of Walker Ranch glowed beneath the peaceful western sky, Clara smiled with gratitude, knowing her painful past no longer controlled her future. She had discovered the greatest gift anyone could ever receive, not wealth, but a family built through compassion, trust, and unconditional love. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe to Nordic Love Stories, and share this story with someone who still believes that kindness has the power to change lives. We'll see you in our next unforgettable Wild West story.